Great. So good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, because you are in very different parts of the world. Thank you very much for joining today. I'm Isolina BOTO. I work for COLEAD, one of the co-organizers of those sessions. Today is session number 17 with our good partners and friends from the Pan-African Farmer Organization. And a very important topic today is the potential of African regional markets for the small, medium and enterprises, for smallholders, for cooperatives, for the private sector, for the African private sector, and specifically looking at some of the successes, as always, from entrepreneurs. We will have 5 entrepreneurs today, and a very, very important support organization in the area of finance, Aceli Africa. So we will discuss, of course, opportunities, some of the challenges and some of the difficulties that entrepreneurs had encountered in their entrepreneurial pathway that they will be very kind to share with us from different value chains again, and also from different countries in Africa. But without a major delay, and I can come back to some of key points afterwards, I would like to give the floor to Jeremy KNOPS from COLEAD. You know him very well already. Is the organization I'm very happy to work for, an association, non-for-profit association of private sector operators in the agri-food sector across continents, with a strong presence in every continent now. So it will give us some insights from COLEAD, for which, I mean, African regional markets are very, very important. And as you know, the private sector and the entrepreneurs is our key focus group, beneficiaries, but also partners. Please, Jeremy.
Thank you very much, Isolina. Bonjour, je vais m'exprimer en français. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. Donc, je vais également.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. On behalf of COLEAD, I would like to wish you a warm welcome. Thanks for being with us today. And I would also like to thank as well our panelists and other stakeholders. Thank you very much for taking some time to be with us and share with us your success stories, your lessons learned. It is fundamental, it is basic. This is part of our approach. As Isolina said, we are a private sector association, and our common denominator for all our activities is to implement actions allowing the agri-food business to be a key contributor to the sustainable development. That is reduction of poverty, gender equality, and so on, and so many aspects as well. Today's topic is particularly relevant for COLEAD in 2024. Our association initially was created 50 years ago in order to support private operators, in order to create links between production of agri-food products in ACP countries and the importers in the EU, importers of such products. And we have a series of programs which are funded by the EU, by the Agence Française de Développement, the ACP countries, and so on. So historically, we are focused on access to markets, on developing technical tools, training, and so on. The aim being to allow African farmers and worldwide farmers to gain access to the EU markets. And this has been at the very heart of our action for the last 20 years. Of course, the situation has evolved noticeably. For instance, 10 years ago, the new operators emerged, new cooperatives, new SMEs sent us requests for support. And there was a change in our center of gravity in the interests of those companies. For instance, 20 years ago, 80 to 90% of requests we were receiving were coming from SMEs exporting SMEs. SMEs exporting to the European Union. And today it is quite the contrary. I mean that today, in programs like Fit for Market Plus and the situation is completely different, i.e. 80% of requests for support we've received over the last 18 months, that is 550 requests from SMEs and cooperatives. 80% of these companies are active domestically on the national markets. 30% of those requests also come from firms which are active as exporters to the EU and to other countries, and 30% are also active on regional markets. And we are focusing on those companies, on those MSMEs, i.e. approximately 180 companies. Looking at them, looking at their characteristics, we can identify 3 factors which are worth, which deserve some attention. All these MSMEs which are active internationally are also active nationally, which doesn't come as a real surprise. 80% of those same companies get their supplies from external smallholders. 1/3 of MSMEs active on the national markets are also active internationally, that is the EU, but also other countries. I'm thinking about the Caribbean MSMEs, for instance. And 25% of these MSMEs active regionally are also processors. And this is pretty lower than the average today for active MSMEs. 60% of all companies sending us requests for support are active in processing. Just to tell you that basically today, in terms of profile, the companies sending requests for support are growing. There are opportunities, and of course, these opportunities should be exploited. And this involves working on the macro-political level, trade exchanges, customs, and so on. But to be more concrete, in terms of training and technical assistance, it makes us focus on other topics which differ from those we had on our agenda 5 or 10 years ago. For instance, management, overall management of businesses, marketing, branding. These are all new aspects. Processing as well. Today, we receive a lot of requests concerning processing, especially packaging. And also, we are supposed to strengthen links and to develop more sustainable models among producers, smallholders, and MSMEs on the local, regional, and international markets. So that was my introduction, just to share with you a few figures and to give you a rough idea of the situation as it stands today in COLEAD. Hence the relevance as well of today's session, because we plan to keep developing our activities in that direction. And I would also like to thank, of course, our friends from PAFO for this cooperation, for their cooperation. Isolina, I give you the floor.
Thank you very much, Jeremy, for your disponibility and availability, and for the good news you gave us for the COLEAD, because after the very long experience we had on the exporters market, it is incredible that we are able to see that there are so many opportunities within the regional markets with the added value of the processing. So do not hesitate to go on sending us requests, and our colleagues will post all the information you need.
organizer from the Pan-African Farmers Organization, PAFO, as you know, Dr. Babafemi OYEWOLE, who is now in Zambia. So thank you very much for joining despite, yes, you travel. He's of course, the CEO of the PAFO, but he has also a long experience on public, private, non-governmental sectors. You would have known him, for example, as the CEO of the African Agribusiness Alliance or the African Cashew Alliance, but also as the CEO and Director of the African Energy Investment Corporation and the Deputy Secretary General of the West African Bankers Association, just to say a few. But very importantly, I know also that the regional markets are very, very key for the PAFO constituency, I mean, for the national and the regional partners. And we shared a few sessions back. We did a session together on the opportunities of the Africa Free Trade Agreement as well. And at the time, PAFO had done a very, very interesting also a study and looking at how entrepreneurs and smallholders and farmers were not always very much aware of the opportunities offered in this context. Dr. Babafemi, thank you again as well. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Isolina, for that introduction. Good morning or afternoon or evening to everyone, depending on where you are joining us for this session. On behalf of Pan-African Farmers Organization, PAFO, I'm very pleased to welcome you all to this 17th and the first edition of the Innovation Series for 2024. Since its inception, this series has become a capacity building medium for small and medium scale enterprises and smallholder farmers in the agribusiness space. PAFO and the Committee Linking Entrepreneurship, Agriculture and Development, COLEAD, have been using the series to showcase innovations and successes of African SMEs and farmer-led businesses. While much emphasis is often placed on the opportunities in foreign markets, the importance of regional markets in the transformation of the food systems in Africa cannot be ignored. Over the past 20 years, Africa's agricultural trade grew by over 7% compared to 6% growth in exports. And by 2030, the African agricultural and food market is projected to worth about $1 trillion. And small and medium enterprises and smallholders will no doubt play an important role in driving this growth. Therefore, in line with PAFO's strategy of promoting farming as a business, and building on the last edition of this innovation series, which was on niche marketing strategy for SMEs and smallholder farmers, this 17th edition is focusing on the potential of African regional markets, successes from SMEs and smallholders. It is a fact that over the last decade, inter-regional trade in agriculture was below 20% compared to more than 60% in Asia and Europe. The market is rapidly growing and will continue to expand with the establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Area after. The world's largest free trade area comprising 55 countries and 8 economic communities. This is in addition to the regional integration measures in terms of customs union and common external tariffs that the regional economic community in Africa are putting in place to enhance intra-regional trade. These developments will offer enormous intra-regional trade opportunities for SMEs and smallholders to contribute to job creation, innovation, and economic diversification in the agri-food sector, and play a significant role in promoting regional and intra-regional trade and market creation. It will also strengthen their capacity to increase value addition through innovation in agro-processing, to expand their regional trade footprints, leveraging technology and digital platforms to connect to regional markets. However, despite these opportunities, there remain a lot of challenges for SMEs and smallholders in regional and international trade in agricultural products. And these include compliance costs, regulatory and non-tariff barriers, poor compliance with sanitary and phytosanitary requirements, and large informal cross-border trade. Moreover, the cost of doing business due to infrastructural deficiencies, low access to finance, lack of adequate skill, low productivity and investment in the agricultural sector account for the high cost of intra-regional and intra-African trade compared with other regions of the world. For SMEs and smallholders to derive the expected benefits from the growing opportunities for intra-African trade, it requires collaborative efforts and partnerships by governments, development partners, and the private sector. Transformation can be achieved through innovation and technology with supportive policy that promote SMEs and smallholders. During this edition, the resource persons will discuss the opportunities in regional markets for African SMEs and smallholders, innovations that is needed to exploit the opportunities, and policies to encourage participation in the regional markets. Finally, PAFO and COLEAD are committed to supporting African SMEs and smallholders to boost their capacity for innovation and sustainability. I look forward to the active participation of all participants in the discussions of this theme to enable SMEs and smallholders in Africa to take advantage of the emerging opportunities and understand the challenges of participating in the African, intra-regional, and regional markets and trade. I wish you fruitful deliberations and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Babafemi, and thank you for coming despite you travel and your mission now. So we all agree that we have new opportunities, that many entrepreneurs have seized them in the regional markets in Africa. So we want to learn more after this also comprehensive introduction from PAFO and COLEAD to know more how they have made it. I mean, even when there are successes, what were the challenges? And that we can learn, as always, lessons across regions and across value chains, what innovations have been required to meet these regional markets, what incentives the entrepreneurs had or could receive to tap into this market that is, of course, booming because of the urban population and the middle class population as well, and as a lot of opportunities in the processing sector, as the note with the program shows to you. Without major delay, we introduced the first entrepreneur, so Ari Malichi, who is the co-founder and managing director of Wuchi, Wami, specializing in sustainable beekeeping practices, processing and distributing. But he also, like many of our entrepreneurs, trains the farmers on a number of skills that are needed to better produce and in a more sustainable way. And he has received many distinctions, was recognized as well as the Entrepreneur of the Year at the Quality Awards in Zambia in 2022. So Ari, you have 10 minutes to make your presentation. I thank you very much for also joining from Zambia, actually. And again, for the participants, I think most of you are used now, but for the interpretation, we have in English, French, and Portuguese. Please use the globe at the bottom of your screen and choose the language you want to hear. And it's all working well because the colleagues have checked. Please, the floor is yours, Harry, for 10 minutes.
Thank you so much for having me here today to speak and just scale up our publicity as Wuchi. Yes, my name is once again Malichi Harry. I'm the managing director at Wuchi, a company that was established in 2018 to be able to produce sustainable and raw honey through engagements with rural communities, forests, protecting our indigenous Mayombo forests. What we found in 2018 was that there was a lack of A-grade organic honey on the market. And then as well, the high prices of organic honey on the market. And then because our setup is mostly in the rural communities, there was and there's been a lot of imbalance between nature, causing a lot of deforestation. This is due to the poor living conditions of our people in the local communities, which I know it's not just a case for Zambia. I believe that this should be a case for many of the countries where the local indigenous people are cutting down trees to do charcoal burning. For us, this was a problem that we realized in 2018. Another problem that we also realized is that there was a lot of exclusion between a man and a woman, because the traditional beekeeping model that many of the local people of northwestern Zambia have been practicing is called a bark hive. I'm sure you're able to see a back hive there. This is a labor-intensive model. That means that the women are naturally excluded because it's labor-intensive. It means that only strong men are able to do this. So in 2018, we then came up with a solution to be able to then work closely with the communities in preserving the organic elements of honey. Another one is that we then, through our model where we use a top beehive that is made from an easy to plant pine wood, and is also, it's not labor intensive as well, allowing the women and the youths to also participate in the beekeeping model. We realize that then this can help a lot of our local people to then be economically independent. And in our model, or rather in our value chain, we then focus on 3 impact model, which is the climate adaptation, where we save the trees. And then we also focus on the social side, where we bring in about inclusivity for the woman that was not really doing any economic activity. This then translating into a better economic or a better living standard. Yes, through working with the communities now, we then can deliver a better and a competitive price placed product that then is able to fetch good returns on the market. I must mention also that our model is that our business is eco-inclusive. That means that we're more focusing on the impact side of the business. Yes, so this has given us a lot of traction to then be able to scale up in terms of our local market share and our export market share as well. So our impact model is focusing on, number one, no poverty. I mentioned that when we get into a community, we then onboard a farmer, but then one thing we realize is that a farmer still has a little to no knowledge about a business, and as well, they don't know really much about the climate side. So we train them in sustainable beekeeping model. We also train them on farming as a business, so that now from where they are, even when we give them the inputs like a beehive, the inputs like PPE, we are able to move them from a $14 per month as a monthly income to as high as a $48 per month. And we've worked at the moment already with 1,244 smallholder farmers, creating 44 jobs in our catchment area, which is Mwinilunga and in Lusaka. We also work with the populations. I mean, I mentioned already that the women have, for the most times, been excluded. Then we, with our model, then are bringing reduced inequality, which is our SDG number 10. And then as well, our model is focusing on preserving the forests. And up to now, we have preserved 68,000 hectares of forests in a sense that we're replacing the traditional beekeeping model with a sustainable one. Yes. So through this, also saving more than 300,000 trees. Yes. So when we look at the opportunities on the market, Zambia is able to consume 1,000 metric tons per annum of honey, but we have increased our local market share from as low as 0.3 in 2020. Now, because of our consistency, both in price, in quantity, and in quality, we then have already moved to 8% this year, 2024. Well, that shows a lot of traction on our growth as a business, as an agribusiness, and this also giving us 31% post-investment in 2021. Yes, so again, in 2018, when we were beginning, because we believed in the model, we believed in what we can do, we believed that we can be the agent of change to the many problems that our communities are facing, like poverty, like deforestation. We invested ourselves using our own money to make 10 beehives in 2018 from our own coffers. But as we speak now, we have now from the 10 beehives, we now have more than 15,000 beehives because of our model and our belief that we can do it as a local people, because then we are the first ones that these challenges we will then be able to address. Yes, so We've now, as of last year, expanded to 4 more districts, which includes Kalumbila, Kasempa, and Mojimanzovu, away from just Munilunga, where we've been working from since 2018. When we look at partnerships, because we are an eco-inclusive business, we believe that the challenges that we are facing cannot be solved only by Wami alone. We are open to partnerships. We've partnered with Worldwide Fund. We've also partnered with Prospero, which is a UK-funded organization. We also partnered with the Zambia Development Agency. We've partnered with SEED, which is an organization formed by the United Nations Environmental Program. We also have partnered with FAO through their capacity building programs. And now at the moment, we're also working with TechnoServe, which is a CEDA, the Swedish Embassy funded program. We believe that when we can synergize to then partner in our quest to solve these challenges and bring about impact, we then open to these partnerships. Yes. So through the Nature Conservancy, we partnered with them last year. The Nature Conservancy is an organization that focuses on conservation of nature. We partnered with them. They are in 98 countries, and they are funded by USAID and UNEP. So we've partnered with them to train 20,000 farmers in the next 3 years, which is a very good milestone for Wami, and we're excited because through training the farmers, and we'll realize the impact that we've been fighting for the many years. And as well, this expands as well our production capacity, because when we train the farmers, then we're able to as well offtake the honey from them. Yes, so among our traction, or rather the local distributors, we've been working with Choppies in their 4 countries. We're in Zambia, we are in Botswana, we are in Namibia, and we are in Zimbabwe, because we do make a Choppies home brand. We've also partnered with Food Lovers Market, which is a South African chain store. We've partnered with the local lodges as well. Yes, so we are licensed as a business to export to the commercial countries, to the SADC countries, and as well to AGOA. And we've been successfully exporting to Botswana, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and as well we have beeswax, which is a byproduct of honey, which we are exporting to Norway. Yes, so we are also currently working to get our HACCP and our organic certification that will then allow us to enter into the EU markets, and as well just increase the value of our brand. And we already are also working to onboard Pick and Pay Southern Africa, because they have interest in our honey, and we're excited to continue to collaborate with the chain stores to ensure that our end users are able to then have access to our best product, our premium product, which is honey. When we look at the market growth, Zambia is producing 2,000 metric tons per annum, but there's a lot of potential to produce 20,000 metric tons per annum. This calls for a lot of investment into the honey value chain, and more importantly, in the sustainable honey value chain, because I know that there's a lot of honey production in Zambia, but the question is it sustainable? Are the people cutting down the trees, or they are using sustainable models? Yes, so that's why we are an advocate for sustainable agriculture and smart agriculture, so that even after 10 years, we're able to continue to have our Nyombo forests. Yes, so when you look at as well the export market and just the global market for honey, you realize that honey now, because people are adopting to then use organic honey, you see that there's a lot of growth. The market is growing at a 5.5% compound annual growth rate, which calls for a lot of investment into this market, into this industry. And as Wami, we are excited to grow. And of course, it's a business, and there are a lot of competition. We have competition as well from other players on the continent. But to mention a few, we have Zambezi Gold, we have Rwanda and Wuchi, and these are local players on the Zambian market. Yeah, but then we stand to beat this competition because we use intricate methods to retain the elements of natural honey, and as well our prices are competitive in a sense that we are able to then make them affordable to both the bulky and the retailers as well. Yes, and with our model that we use to train the farmers, we've realized that this product then can be owned by the local farmers. They are able to advocate for it, and because then it's also in the green space. So we are excited to grow. As I mentioned, our business model is very strong on community ties because we have the local farmers that we train, but then we don't just train them. We put them under a cooperative, which we named Kwasha in our local language, which means help a farmer, because we believe that the business model without investing in a farmer, then you can't go anywhere, because a farmer is a greater stakeholder in what we're doing, as well as alleviating poverty in an economy. You need to begin working with a farmer to be able to empower them with the knowledge, with the capacity, so that they may understand that this is a business. Yes, so this has been our model. So
thank you, Ari. You are wrapping up. You still have one slide very quickly? Or...
Thank you so much. Yes, of course, this is our team. Yes, from our team, we believe that you cannot scale up a business without a proper team with necessary expertise. And as Wami, we've been building a business, but then using teams. We believe that if you can build a team, then you can build a business. So that's what we've been doing. And we're excited to collaborate with many stakeholders that are on this call. Our lines are open. I'm sure you're able to get our contacts from Isolina, but we are privileged to be here today with you to learn and as well just to synergize. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ari. Very interesting presentation, and how you are serving already the COMESA and SADC countries, which are not also easy countries. They're competitors with a very nice branded product, and really very happy to see you support sustainable food systems, which is really like we do at COLEAD and PAFO, to look at the social and environmental dimensions, as well as integrating the smallholders through better prices and inclusive approaches and fair prices. So also helping them to organize themselves into cooperatives and to support their skills development. So very, very impressive. We get back to you. Very nice presentation. Without major delay, let's now actually go to Malawi. We stay within the region. Victoria MWAFULIRWA, I hope I pronounce it well, founder and managing director of Homes Industry, with again another award-winning agro-processing company based in Karonga in Malawi. The company is really the leading manufacturer of branded sunflower, cooking oil, maize, and peanut flour, and works with a number also, she will tell us, impressive number of smallholders. But Victoria is also the Secretary General of the Cross-Border Traders Association of Malawi, so very, very important for cross-border trade, and involved in a community. All you would see our entrepreneurs, in addition to making money and being successful in business, have that dimension of supporting the communities, the women and the youth, empowering communities, and she has a strong background on communication. And actually, I would like to also thank, she's in the room, Feladi Chiloane, who is the president of Ignite Alumni Association. I will put the link there, who really looks for the economic empowerment network of women in Africa in agribusiness, and with whom we have collaborated as well, for example, by bringing Victoria. So Victoria, you have the floor. Please go ahead for 10 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you everyone on the call and on the platform. Indeed, it's a great pleasure to be here, and very humbled to actually be able to be speaking to such an esteemed set of people this afternoon. My name is Victoria MWAFULIRWA. I am Managing Director for Homes Industries Limited. We are an agro-processing company based in Karonga, and we're, came into being in 2016. We're working with a network of over 5,000 smallholder farmers, 80% of which are women, and then another 20-30% which are youth. And we work with them in a model that is able to empower them, teach them. And after the training, we monitor the product. And after we monitor the product, we are the primary buyer for that particular product. We offer the extension service. We offer all the guidance, including the post-harvest handling, that will enable them have the better yield and harvest. We are based in northern Malawi, in Karonga, and are working in 5 value chains currently. So we are in sunflower, which is used for cooking oil, groundnuts for peanut butter and peanut flour. We've got the rice, which is the Kilombero rice, probably the best rice on the planet. We work it in white rice as well as brown rice. And then we have the honey. Next slide, please. So these are the products as I have mentioned, and then we go to the next slide. These products, looking at the region, because we're discussing the regional markets as we speak. The mostly demanded product from our end is usually the rice and the groundnuts. The volumes for the cooking oil are such that they cannot meet the demand that is required in places like Mauritania and other countries. So it is in country at the moment. And so we are predominantly exporting the rice, the groundnuts, just to mention those. But we have recently also established a market in the United States for the rice. Next slide, please. Like we mentioned, we are processing the sunflower into the cooking oil. And of course, the cake, as you may be aware, is used for livestock feed, or as a major ingredient for livestock feed. These are situations where SMEs are now graduating. SMEs like homes industries are graduating from just producing crops and aggregating them for sale, but then venturing into the actual value addition, whereby you're not only increasing the monetary value, but you're also increasing the presence and diversity of the particular product onto the different markets. And so recently, from the products that I have mentioned, we have also managed to create and develop nutritious porridge, which is very high in the vitamin A and the energy, just to enable our contribution to the impact on malnutrition. As you may be aware, stunting has been at a 37% high in Malawi, for example. And so with access to a nutritious porridge like that, I believe Homes Industries is doing its part into mitigating such challenges. We have been able to put ourselves on a website that where we are able to access and be in touch with the markets externally, just beyond the borders of Malawi. And so we find ourselves in a space where we are not only creating value for Homes Industries as a business, but also for the smallholder farmers that we are working with, because we are providing the sustainable and direct market for their produce. In this journey, though, while there are all these innovations in the markets that we are talking about, there have been challenges that we have faced. Next slide, please. We are looking at, the very setup of our continent, Africa, which is also one of our largest space for trade, that despite the fact that we have got protocols like the AFTA and the COMESA Treaty, the SADC Treaty, and the AGOA, all those, we still are finding ourselves challenged in the way we are able to transport our products. For example, you'll find that it is easier for someone in Malawi like myself to actually trade with the West, in this case, the United States, but unable to actually trade with West Africa in this case because of the connectivity issue. We are land linked, and so there is need for more work to be done on the connectivity and logistics to enable a smooth flow and transaction of these of this nature. We are also looking at the access to equipment or access to machinery, because we are also not a manufacturing, mechanical manufacturing country. We depend on the importation. And so if you are anywhere near Malawi or this part of the continent, you'll find that there's challenges in the access to Forex for you to actually make a purchase from the countries that are actually manufacturing these goods. And then we're also looking at the challenge for the actual production of the crops. For the production of the crops, on average, in the space that I am in, for example, Karonga, we have the capacity of 1 million tons of rice per annum, but you will find that it is only 30% of that is actually utilized and makes the harvest. And so that then dwindles the actual levels of transactions. But if we were fully mechanized, for example, and we incorporated all these things together, you'll find us reaching those targets and being able to have enough food for consumption, as in local consumption, as well as enough to trade and export to other countries. And of course, there's the issue of access to finance, which now becomes a very big challenge for most organizations, and especially of our magnitude, SMEs. So in this bracket, those are some of the major challenges that we are facing. And like my colleague before me spoke, Harry, those are challenges that are not unique to Malawi or just homes industries alone. And so I find that as SMEs, we should be able, to get into the space where we are accessing information, we're looking for information and not waiting for that information to come across to us. And so we are knocking on the Ministry of Trade, we're knocking on the Ministry of Agriculture, we're knocking on these doors, COMESA, SADC, and AFTA, just to be able to acquire enough information and enable us to trade adequately. Next slide, please. And so the action points I would really recommend as an SME going through the same path is that we should be able to be compliant in the work that we are doing. In this case, we're talking about certifications. We are talking about accreditations. Harry spoke about HACCP, and then there's ISO and all those kinds of things. We should be able to trade and be a legal entity that is going to enable us to take advantage of the opportunities that are presenting themselves in these spaces. We need to seek the information that we're talking about and continuously innovate, educate, and brand and rebrand ourselves. So as SMEs, we are always learning and relearning, just to keep us in the game and look forward to making the impact that we want to make, not just financially, but also as a major contribution to the nutritional status and the agricultural productivity as a whole. And also, next slide, please. I would recommend that we should be able to be in the space of networking and actually interacting like we are on this platform. I am very excited to be here because it is where we are able as homes industries to leverage on the networks that we have and actually access the information that is being shared out there to meet the demand and seize the opportunities that are there so that we can be able to actually, make the best and the most out of the opportunities that we have. But then also, as homes industries, what opportunities are we presenting to our colleagues? What opportunities are presenting to the partners that we have? So we are able to work with a network of over 5,000 smallholder farmers, like I said earlier on. These are then having an opportunity to actually make a decent living for their households, where the monthly income would be as low as $30 and has now risen to up to like maybe $100, $90. So that is opportunities that are actually practical and are being seized with the models that actually work. And so we should also take advantage and look at the opportunities in the marketing. Being here, thank you, COLEAD, and thank you, everybody else, but being here then presents homes industries an opportunity to actually present itself to prospective partners and prospective workmates and buyers from across the continent so that we can make this work. We are looking at our country has got the Agenda 2063, whose pillar number 1 is looking at agriculture, agribusiness, and promoting all those kind of activities. It is this platform that then gives an opportunity for us to seize and tie it together. Next slide, please, which I think should be my last slide. Yes, and so by virtue of being here, by virtue of being able to interact and speak with all of us, it presents an opportunity to all of us to be able to grow and overcome the challenges that we are looking at, and we will continue to be looking at in the minutes or the few hours to come. With these few words, I would like to say thank you for your attention, and any questions that are coming later on the call, very happy to take. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Victoria, for, again, a very nice presentation as well of products really in the market. And thank you for underlining, despite the successes, again, many difficulties in the way, and for encouraging all entrepreneurs, of course, to be proactive, to know better the regulations and, the new opportunities, be at the regional integration level, we be at the Africa Free Trade Agreement level. We find ourselves that is not always very easy, and it requires a lot of efforts, of course, from also governments and partners and policy, but also from the entrepreneurs themselves as well. So very, very good. And thank you again as well to the partners you are working with, and for empowering women in the agribusiness sector, which is key. We will not meet any of the SDGs without empowerment of women in the agriculture sector. So without major delay, I will speak French now pour présenter Madame Maimouna Coulibaly.
With us, Mrs. Maimouna Coulibaly. She is the first woman, a very dynamic woman, in the seed production sector in Mali. She works a lot in a public-private partnership, just like Victoria and other people interested in women participation. She works on certified seeds, certified quality seeds, which means that she has strong connections with African research, but also with international research, because such varieties are high-yielding seed varieties adapted to climate change, which contributes to food security and nutritional security, a prerequisite, a major requirement for that region of the world. And she's also part of a network, a network grouping female seed entrepreneurs. That network is pretty active in all the countries member of CORAF, and Mrs. Coulibaly is one of their members. Maimouna Coulibaly also got many awards. She got the award of Best Company from Kofi Annan. I would also like to thank Mayarma, who is the gender counselor for CORAF, and who is also very active in the West African Seed Production Network. Leadership here is ensured by women, which is quite uncommon. And Mrs. Coulibaly is going to explain how this is taking place in West Africa. Mrs. Coulibaly, yes, thank you, Isolina. Thank you for introducing me in such nice words. I would like to thank all women who are leading seed producers. Thank you to all of you for giving me the opportunity to take the floor here and today. Yes, we can hear you. I give you 10 minutes. And Aceli is sharing your document. So I am Mrs. Coulibaly Maimouna Sidibé. I'm the manager of FASO-COLEAD, a private company producing seeds. We are based in Mali, in Bamako to be precise. FASO-COLEAD it's quite simple to describe. We've been talking about agricultural development in Mali. Development is focused on fertilizers and pesticides, and I decided to do something about seeds. I was with my husband in the US, and I was able to see what improved seeds were and what results they would allow us to attain. And so I decided to make my dream true. As a daughter of farmers, I could see all the effort my mother was putting into the land, and the yields were very low. So I started a reflection on what to do to improve yields. I came back in 2007 and created FASO-COLEAD. Thanks to the financial contribution of two major entities. It was the first seed company created in Africa on that basis. And the objective being to produce and distribute A-grade, high-quality seeds, improved seeds. The aim being also to reach self-sufficiency and to combat poverty and malnutrition in rural areas. Thank you. And of course, my aim was also to make such seeds available to smallholders. When I say smallholders, they are not that small, but by small, I mean that their acreages are pretty small. So FASO-COLEAD is specialized in producing and distributing agricultural seeds, inputs and equipment. We do that under contract. Our first generation seeds come from the national research institutions, and we subcontract with cooperatives that already exist in the market. We organize and conduct training. We also have a distribution network, including more than 150 agro-dealers. AGRA funded us, and the objective of that funding was to install and supply 150 selling stations. And today, we have 150 such offices. In Mali, you have a national federation of agro-dealers, and we work with them for a smoother distribution. We also work on raising awareness, informing and ongoing training of farmers about the requirements for agricultural seeds, trying to show them how important it is to use such seeds. We also use other inputs and provide them access to those inputs, fertilizers, improved seeds, and so on. And all these elements, all these products are close to them, and they are delivered to them in appropriate packaging at affordable prices. For instance, only 1 kilo or 5 kilos. It is easily achievable. We also provide seed quality assurance. Thanks to AGRA, we were able to invest in 2 cleaning and conditioning lines. It helps us clean the seeds and to provide the smallholders with high quality seeds. Between 90 and 90% of those seeds are viable. We employ 25 people. I work mainly with women and young people. 90% of our employees are women and young people. And When cleaning, we may employ up to 100 people in direct jobs in the packaging units, and this takes place 6 months for 6 months a year. Our sources of financing, first of all, own funds, financial institutions like banks, donations, microcredits, and we received funds from KIRAF to organize training for young people and women, for instance. And we are also in touch with researchers and other producers. That's it for me. Thank you. Today, FASO-COLEAD is member of the regional network of women seed leaders in West and Central Africa. The aim is to take advantage of existing opportunities in different countries. And our network covers all 23 countries included in the CORAF's network. We are faced with lots of problems in free movement of seeds. The aim of the network is to facilitate the flow, the movement of seeds. Mainly in West Africa, because we have business opportunities. So if we do it individually, it would be extremely difficult. As a network, it becomes far easier to turn to other countries and to have contacts with them. We need funds, of course, just like anyone. Support needs working capital to ensure the supply chain for quality seeds, acquisition of irrigation infrastructure for off-season production. And we also try to set up an efficient, sustainable system for making agricultural seeds viable. By agricultural seeds, we mean pre-basic, basic, and hybrid seeds. The first generation of our seeds, as I said before, comes from research. And we have close ties and contracts with our research partners. And we are also granted licenses for producing our own varieties. For the time being, we are using the same varieties for everyone. But diversity is also needed. We want to develop with our own varieties, as it will increase our resources. So that's it for me. It was a short presentation. We have our own production modes, our own marketing methods. We have good partners. Of course, we are faced with challenges, but I want to focus today on the fact that we work as a network of women leaders. And if we could involve more women and more people in general, that would be of great help. Of course, there is also a legal problem. We need more legislation, but in spite of current legislation, we can't always do as much as we'd like to, but the network is there to help us. In terms of seed flow, seed movement. We received the African Food Prize and many other awards, and we are proud of that. Thank you. And you can see the pictures here. Thank you very much for your attention. Yes, thank you very much, Mrs. Coulibaly. Seeds are a key input. Of course, you can't grow without seeds, and high quality and certified seeds are all the more important. The private sector works in close connection with politicians and research institutions, and also you have that a network of women entrepreneurs who are present on the market, sometimes big companies, but also medium-sized and small companies, and they get together to obtain some added value as a network. I know some of your experiences, for instance, by combining their harvests to supply some markets which do not have sufficient commercial opportunities. And the seed sector is not recognized as particularly easy for women. For that reason, I would like to congratulate you and thank you very much for sharing your experience. I hope that we will have, I know that we will have many comments about your presentation. And now, Ismael, we shall come back to the Q&A session later on.
Aux panélistes qui ont présenté jusqu'à maintenant.
Ismael,
faudra couper votre micro. So Ismael Ntwali, if you could quickly share your actually experience in Rwanda, yes, on fresh and organic horticultural products from your company SNI Fresh, and your experience in the as well in the regional market. Please, Ismael.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. As you know, like, yeah, we are all located in different locations. But our company, sorry a bit.
If you could just put it in full screen, if you are operating the PowerPoint.
Yeah. Okay. Our name as a company is S&I Fresh Limited. We do agribusiness. We are both exporters and growers of fruits and vegetables. We are located in Kigali, Rwanda, and we are specialized in growing, preparing of fruits and vegetables that we export in Middle East and Europe. We are eligible on the international market. What I can say as the first one, we have to see the farmers as a person of value. They are the only one in the whole world who can live their work and be the cause of global instability. Okay, there might be like few points that I'll be tackling. The introduction as well done, foundation of our company, market size, competitive analysis, how we started on building the network base of ourselves, and the team that we work together for the achievement, okay, and the products we have. The next is foundation of our company as S&I. This stands for Southern Smile Fresh. This company started in 2021 January. We started the idea came as entering of mode in the world where everything is a bit faked, almost like they try to make it demonstrated. Yeah, and then the idea came as how we can make, as of the food is also getting affected. So the idea came and started on how to grow organic crops based, reducing pesticides and fertilizers, where they will rely on natural process. And also we took it out of the country and made it global, because like it's something which attacked not only our nation or elsewhere, it attacked the whole world, where they try to, they use a lot of pesticides and it definitely is inorganic food that we eat day by day. So we started on how we can grow our own crops, but organically, so that those chemicals that are used, they cause a lot of diseases. So we started a little investment with 2,000 USD, working with farmers operating in public pack house, exporting 300 to 500 boxes. As we have been growing now, we have now our own pack house. Some farms are ours, and we help locally to increase the quantity of plantation of fruits and vegetables, so that later we don't be incompetent to be fulfilling the market that we have. For now, we are able to export 4,500 boxes of 40 avocados twice a week. Definitely each box is 4 kg. So the counting is around 15 tons twice a week exporting in Middle East and Europe. As our country is a bit small and landlocked country, we went to join our neighbors. For now, we have our company running in 3 East African countries, Tanzania, Uganda, and Rwanda. Two of the countries, that is Uganda and Rwanda, we use airway transporting, so that is flights. And Tanzania, we use seaway. And then we have our own farms, but we can't satisfy the market we support. So we work together with hundreds of small farmers. It's almost the whole country working together in a whole country, so that we see if we can supply enough. And then now we are trying to increase our market size due to goals we set and needs to be achieved. So the market size that we have been supplying UAE, Dubai, and UK, London, and Qatar. So it's in Doha, as you can see, as it is presented. And the market that we are targeting, as we have been visiting Berlin, that is German, and Dubai, and then Doha. So we have attending a lot of exhibitions there. So we try and see if we can achieve our goals. So the next one is the competitive analysis that we made of our product to see if they can compete on the international market. So our competitive analysis is our produce is organically grown, well packaged, and produced using HACCP components at low price, tastes different, and because it's natural, it has to taste different. Quality is provided, only the best. And the best of all is that we are growing avocados as our main product. And we try to, because we are the one who prepare the seeds, we try to make them grow in all seasons, all the 4 seasons, so that we don't be out of competent. So that is non-stop harvest. And then the next slide is almost the same as I explained above. So that is our produce organically grown, and those are the pictures shown as they are in farms. And then our packaging in HACCP, if you can zoom it a bit, you see it. This is how our packaging HACCP component is. We offload and crates, and then we sort it, clean it well, and weigh it and package it, covering the boxes, prioritizing, and then to the transporting way. Depends on the one that we are transporting to. And then here comes our organic food. Definitely it is delicious. As what I've told you, we know nature tastes different. As it is stated that avocados and chilies are the best and mostly products which are being exported after tea, coffee, and pyrethrum in Rwanda agriculture. That's how we thought on preparing our own nursery beds for raising the seedlings. Worked in together with local people with land. Then we made a venture on how they will plant our trees. They gain, we gain. So it's like we'll be This will give value to the local people, small farmers, increase their income, their financial stability, and their standard of living. The issue we are facing now is global gap certification. Definitely, it is certification. SMETA, so that our everyone who exports in those countries, Europe, they know what the certifications that they are required. It's an international certification to see if you are organically certified. Okay, as you know, you don't do it alone. We have a big company team. So these are our team. Yep. This is the head of finance and the CEO of so definitely the owner, and then the general manager and the packhouse manager. That's who I am. So after this hard work of these years, we started as we were 2 months workers, 2 and 11 casual workers. But now we have 7 in staff and 5 other extra leaders on their station and 13 aggregators and 74 casual workers. We are very grateful to our workers and thankfully, we can do our job to the best. So we are looking forward to get a lot of customers because these are the products that we export. So if anyone is interested, you can join. So that was my presentation. Thank you for giving me your time. We shall connect.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ismael. A very nice presentation as well. Of course, we are very taken that you are a young entrepreneur. So we are always very, very happy to get young people into agriculture. In a country like Rwanda, we used to be an importer or rely on coffee, tea, and a few commodities. We are very pleased as well to see that it's fresh fruits and vegetables, which are keen also for health and nutrition, and also that you export them not only internationally, but also to the neighboring countries. I mean, in East Africa, like Uganda and Tanzania. So very happy to see as well the packaging you are doing with those products and the labeling and the growth that you have had. So thank you very much for sharing your experience, and more to come in the discussion. We now have our last entrepreneur presentation before going to our finance expert. Khalifa THIAM est un entrepreneur sénégalais. Il est le fondateur et en fait le gérant de JOULEU, qui est aussi au Sénégal, basé à Saint-Louis au Sénégal.
Khalifa THIAM is a Senegalese entrepreneur, founder and the manager of JOULEU, a company that produces and trades agricultural products, serving domestic and foreign markets. He is also very committed towards smallholders with whom he has excellent relationships, but he also has strong connections with training services and support services
à ces entrepreneurs et à leurs petits producteurs. Il a aussi a eu beaucoup
available to these smallholders, and he also received awards both in Senegal and in Africa and even in Germany. So without further ado, Khalifa, thank you very much. You're speaking from Saint-Louis du Sénégal, and you are going to briefly introduce your model, your production model, and your export model in African markets. Thank you very much, Isolina. Thank you to all participants in this session. First of all, allow me to salute or to greet PAFO and COLEAD for giving us the opportunity to take the floor. It's a great honor and great pleasure for us to take part in your panel. So my name is Khalifa THIAM. I am from Senegal and I'm speaking to you from Saint-Louis du Sénégal. We are a very small company. an intermediate company or facilitating company as well. The basic idea was to help smallholders who found it difficult to sell their products. And so we decided to act as facilitators for them. Our main markets being Guinea-Bissau and South Casamance. So that was our starting point. I'm going to share my screen. Here we are. You have a few figures here on our small company. Our acreage is 5.5 hectares over 3 sites. These 5 hectares are spread over 3 sites. We produce mainly onions and potato. And we market up to 300 tons of horticultural products per season, onions and potatoes in Senegal, and some other horticultural crops. We are based here in Senegal, and we are present on the local and on the regional market, Guinea-Bissau and Mali. To be specific, we work in cooperation with 10 smallholders, more or less. We help them, we support young people and women. And we buy their crops and their harvests and market their products. We give special attention to young people and to women. Women in our village receive support from training centers and training institutions. This is our small team. I'm there in the middle. On the left-hand side, a partner from Mali who joined us 2 years ago. This is an onion field, and on the right-hand side, you have 2 other partners, including our chief engineer, who helps us in our activities. We did onions and potatoes, but now we also grow tomatoes, okra, and other crops. We also became interested in a greenhouse horticulture on 0.5 hectares. We are going to install greenhouses so as to diversify our range of products. Here, our harvests, onions and potatoes, our main products which we produce and market on the national market and on the regional market. Sorting of the harvests at the training center. Scores of young people help us recondition our crops, which are then taken to markets. More products we are growing in greenhouses: eggplants, beets, peppers, chilies. This is our range of products. Grown on our different sites. Of course, like any other entrepreneurs, we have been faced with challenges like logistics, of course, because we have no control on logistics. Logistics can be problematic in Africa. Sometimes there is no logistics, and the products are transported by road up to Bamako and Bissau. It is not always easy. For instance, in Guinea, we have arrangements with our partners. We take the products up to Ziguinchor, and then they take the products to Bissau. Other problems due to regulations. We've been able to overcome these barriers with our partners. We are also involved in agribusiness because for 2 years now, our turnover has gone down because there have been new agribusinesses being created everywhere in Senegal, and their financial means go far beyond our own possibilities. And faced with such big enterprises, it is difficult as a young venture to be competitive. What about prospects and requirements? We want to expand our action. For the time being, we are working with 10 smallholders. We would like to enlarge our network to include 100 smallholders and farmers. And we also want to acquire more land because 5.5 hectares is not much. And our ambition would be to increase our land up to 15 or even 20 hectares.
Khalifa? Oui, vous avez terminé?
Khalifa, are you finished? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. It was particularly interesting. Thank you for your efforts. It is quite impressive for a young entrepreneur based in Saint-Louis. I know Saint-Louis, and I know it is not easy to start producing fruits and vegetables there and to serve national and regional markets. As you said, competition can be quite harsh. And it is necessary, I believe, to call for help for these small entrepreneurs. Your participation got facilitated by our colleague Frédéric Balog, who knows your country and who is very familiar with the different producers. And so I hope that thanks to a presentation like yours, you can gain more visibility. Thanks a lot for sharing your experience with us.
The last speaker for today, before we have a quick question and answer, I see that there are more appreciations and a few questions, which is not bad anyway, but is Andrew AHIAKU. Thank you very much for being with us, Director and Head of the Financial Sector of Aceli Africa, with a non-for-profit donor-funded agribusiness finance market initiatives. You support, which is very interesting for us and obviously for, more importantly, for the entrepreneurs you just have heard. You support lenders to increase financing to small and medium-sized enterprises, specifically in Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, Uganda, and Zambia. So you look at all the country operations and programs in those countries, but as well as capacity building and also Aceli's entry into new markets in Africa, especially in sub-Saharan Africa. So of course, it's very interesting for us. You not only obviously have a very strong agriculture finance background, but you have a deep also interest in the intersection of banking, agriculture, alternative finance and policy, which is very, very important, as many bankers sometimes tell us they don't understand agriculture, or agriculture is too risky, for which, of course, we disagree. We think that more finance has to go not only to agriculture, but in particular to the MSMEs and small entrepreneurs. They are really the ones, the missing middle that needs support. So thank you very much for joining us. I've read with a lot of interest, and I encourage our audience to do so, the last report, the last 2024 financial benchmarking report, where you have presented and shared very actually impressive results on supporting MSMEs, and we will put the link, my colleagues will put the link in the chat as well. So please, Andrew, the floor is yours. And again, thank you very much for joining us in your very busy schedule. And of course, the PowerPoint presentation will be shared after in our Agri-Innovators website. Alison will put again the link to where all the PowerPoints and the recording of those sessions will be shared. Thank you, Andrew. Please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Isolina, and my colleague discussants. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. And as we said, Aceli is a market-based financial incentive that supports partner financial institutions to increase lending to agri-SMEs in the markets that you mentioned. Maybe to begin with, I will anchor my message in a quote from a World Bank publication that I picked from the program lineup. And it says, Africa has the potential to create $1 trillion food market, but farmers need better access to help them grow and trade their products. End of quote. So there is a huge potential in Africa to do so much more than we are doing. Currently, the annual figure is about $1.13 billion, but it is estimated that by 2030, we can do about $1 trillion. But to do that, then we need to support farmers, grant them access, and to help them grow. It is very sad that there are huge opportunities in Africa. In fact, about 50 to 60% of the employable labor in Africa is found in agriculture. 25 to 30% of sub-Saharan Africa's GDP comes from agriculture. Yet, a paltry 3 to sometimes 10% is what comes from commercial credit to agriculture. This is concerning, and this is where Aceli Africa comes in. Our focus at Aceli Africa is to support institutions, including banks, non-bank financial institutions, and social lenders who already have interest in agriculture to increase lending to agri-SMEs. Of course, Isolina, as you mentioned, Aceli is a data-driven organization. So before we designed our interventions, we carried out a research in the chosen market, that is East Africa. And we found out that from the market perspective, lending to agri is 2 times riskier than other sectors in the economy. And we measure the risk by the amount of NPLs, or the non-performing loans that existed. So for instance, if the non-performing loan to, say, commerce was 2%, then agri was 4%. That was not all. We also found out that the returns to agriculture, especially to the lenders, was 4 to 5% lower than expected. And we thought this is quite startling. Normally, in the balance of financiers or in the banking world, the higher risk you take, the more returns you make. Unfortunately, in agri, the more risk that the lenders took, the lesser return they got. And 50% of the cost of the loan returns is attributable to the cost of originating agri deals. Most of these deals are found in the rural areas. So by the time the banker or the investor does 2, 3, 4 trips to the farm before he completes the deal, then the cost of originating the deal becomes high. So we designed Aceli with this in mind. So for the risk, we introduced a portfolio first loss cover, which operates in the form of a credit guarantee, but paid at portfolio level. So for every deal that a lender makes, Aceli rewards the lender with some amount of money, which goes into an escrow account or a reserve account. And in the event of a default from the SME, then the lender can claw back the outstanding principal. To support for the cost of origination, we introduce an origination incentive. So for every loan that a lender gives to an SME, we reward the lender for that loan to defray the cost of doing that loan. And aside that, to Aceli and our donors, there are 4 important impact areas that we cherish. This includes climate and environment, youth inclusion, gender inclusion, and food security and nutrition. So if a lender does a loan to an SME that covers any of these 4 impact areas, then we reward the lender with an impact bonus. So all that I've been saying is Aceli has an instrument which is a financial incentive that rewards for taking high risk, that rewards for defraying the cost of originating a loan, and that rewards the lender for lending to high impact agri SMEs. So our incentives are designed in such a way that they reward the lender for taking an additional risk or lending to agri SMEs that are especially in the informal value chain and that operate in the regional markets. Aside the origination incentive, we also do have a technical assistance facility. And this technical assistance facility is broken into 2 broad categories. One that supports the SMEs to be bankable, and the other that supports the lenders to become faster and adept at doing agricultural deals. So 2 broad technical assistance, one targeting SMEs to become bankable so that lenders can give them more loan, and the other one supporting the supporting the lender to become more agile at doing agricultural SMEs. All these broad instruments, the financial incentive and the technical assistance, is underpinned by data and learning. So, Isolina, as you mentioned, every year we collect data from our lenders so that we know what is happening in the market, and we publish the findings every year. It is no wonder that access to finance, as the participants have mentioned, continues to be a big concern to our agri-SMEs. However, the lenders also mentioned that they are seeing some shift in behavior as a result of the interventions from Aceli. And quickly, Aceli is entering its 4th year, but we have registered some of the big lenders in East Africa in our network. So we have a cross network of about 38 lenders covering banks, non-bank financial institutions, and social lenders in the 4 countries that we are operating in, including Zambia that we have just entered. That is not all. We have supported over 1,500 loans in these countries and mobilized close to over $152 million through private capital going to our SMEs. And for every dollar that we have taken from the donor, we have leveraged about 10x of that through our incentives to the lenders. We think this is an encouraging figure because the global average is about 4%, but Aceli is doing 10% in the agri space, and we think this is encouraging. That is not all. We are beginning to notice some early changes in lending behavior from our partner financial institutions. For example, one of our partners in Kenya, who used to be very big in the tea subsector, as a result of the Aceli incentive, has now diversified into other sectors, and so on and so forth. Because of time, I think I'll leave it here, and probably if there are some questions, we can take during the question and answer time. Thank you, Isolina.
Thank you so much, Andrew, because you know that we touch a very critical point. Finance is not necessarily the first request that entrepreneurs ask for. I mean, but certainly, like in any part of the world, an entrepreneur at some point in the growth of the business model will need finance, and hopefully will need, because it means also expansion, be in markets, in products, and so on. So very, very critical. And I'm very impressed actually by the value proposition you have, including the capacity building, which is critical for the MSMEs, which is not the case for the very big, of course, enterprises. And I do hope that COLEAD will partner with Aceli as with other, because we also want to make that bridge between, you know, the entrepreneurs and the finance. Of course, we are not a finance institution, but we know the capacities the entrepreneurs need, you know, to access some of the funds. And we know certainly, and my colleagues know very well, the enterprise the part and what they need as well to improve, and how to walk that path with them, you know, to improve it. So very, very, I'm sure that all the audience and the entrepreneurs who have spoken this morning have listened to you with a lot of interest. Without major delay, we go quickly to the Q&A. So please put any question you have for Andrew, because he just made his presentation now, and take note of the report that was shared and the link that you also know more and look more into the Aceli offer. But if we start a bit in the same order, there are a few questions. I will start by Ari. Ari, they say the SADC and COMESA markets, of course, you have been, and you are very active there. Do you have any plans to tap into other regional markets in Africa? And do you see major obstacles in doing that outside, let's say, your geographical region? And one that comes, of course, we haven't touched today, but we have done it in many sessions on the climate change impact. That's across, of course, productions and across countries. And they are curious to know if you had any impact of climate change, in particular in the beekeeping part in Zambia. If you could, in 1 minute quickly, give you feedback, and any other point you want to add from what you hear this morning from the other entrepreneurs and other presenters.
Thank you so much for those questions. First of all, I think our goal is to scale up our markets. And I mentioned that we already have the certification to supply the COMESA countries, the SADC and the AGOA, but we as well are already ready to then tackle other markets. For example, we've been doing our landscape market study for Mauritius, which is gonna go, this is happening in our second quarter of this year. But as a company, as an organization, we've been building capacity to be able then to scale up our export portfolio. I must mention as well, just maybe to give emphasis to our other entrepreneurs, that for you then to tackle other markets, understand the policy framework for these other markets, and then as well just do your due diligence on these markets, so that even as you go in, there's a lot of excitement with export. But I think one thing I've learned over the years is that you really need to have a lot of expertise to enter into other markets. So for us, I think now, after 7 years, is when we say we are ready now to export or to scale up our export portfolio. I should also mention that we are also targeting another market, which is Tanzania, but we already are certified to get into those markets. So, and then on the export side, we also getting the HACCP that I'd mentioned, because as Victoria also mentioned, it's important that we are compliant. The compliance side of a business is very important, because it adds a lot of capacity in terms of even your entry into other markets, because then they'll know that you are operating in certain operation procedures that then will go beyond just a country. Yes, so those are the points I'll talk about. And then coming to the impact on the climate. For us, we are driven by the impact on the climate side, because we believe that the problem that is in northwestern Zambia, if it's climate, then it will affect the whole globe. So we actually won the Climate Adaptation Award, where out of 1,023 companies in Africa and Asia, we came out #1. That was in 2022. Because of our impact, we are able to measure our impact on how many trees we're saving, and as well the hectareage that we're saving. So we are very confident that even as we scale up, we are also scaling up on the impact on the climate side. Yes, so I hope that I picked those questions very well. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Harry. And you are very right that on the certification part, obviously, as you tap into export markets, you could more easily do other regional markets, as long as indeed you do the due diligence work. And I have a bit the same for Victoria. It's also on climate change, because obviously rice is very, demanding on water supply. And if you see any impact there in the context of climate change, and of course any other thing you want to add, because most of the comments are more, as I said, congratulations than clarifications. Victoria?
Okay, so thank you very much. Climate impact for us is such a big deal, and we mitigate that by actually encouraging our smallholder farmers to plant moringa trees for the financial and nutritional gain, and that is also to help them have to mitigate the erosion, to contain the soil nutrition and stuff like that. With regards to the water usage in the area that we work, we are working along the lake. So we're in a lake district, Lake Malawi. But now, for the smallholder farmers to actually achieve the intended quantities or intended quality, there is need for a lot of water, and rice does consume a lot of water. So the water management, there are associations in the irrigation schemes that we work with that are called water users associations. So they are able to actually manage the water usage and consumption to prevent the wastage. So we use the water as needed and not just let the water run around. But as well, let me be quick to mention that we still depend largely on rain-fed agriculture, including for the rice. So it's just a matter of putting those beds and those what do we call those trusses, where we are able to contain the water to maintain it for a particular lot as far as that rice is concerned. And so for us to maximize on the yield, considering the rising numbers of people that want that rice locally and beyond, we need to then employ or engage into more irrigation agriculture as compared to rain-fed agriculture, because it's always going to be a letdown until this cycle of the climate change and erratic rainfall gets away. So until we have enough tree cover, until we have enough soil nutrition, until we have adequate good agricultural practices, we should be able to engage in agriculture that is going to help us maintain or manage the water consumption, thereby having it work to our advantage, because then we can control the amount of water that is consumed by the different schemes or by the different rice outlets that we have. I don't know if I answer your question.
Yes, I think very clear, because in investing in water saving technologies and, in not wasting water, but using it properly, I think it's the way to go, because obviously rice as well, many parts of Africa depend heavily on the rice imports, which is one of the staple foods as well for Africa. So obviously continuing the rice production is also makes a lot of sense. So indeed, all the irrigation and water management is critical. Madame Coulibaly, alors vous avez quelques questions, surtout en plus de la vente.
Mrs. Coulibaly, we received a number of questions. First of all, regarding seed sales. Are you offering extension and distribution services? Can you offer a range of products originating from your seeds? What about international trade? Quite a difficult venture, I know. Do you allow your customers to grow their own seeds based on your seeds from previous cycles? You must specify, I believe that these seeds are seeds coming from research, but I would like you to summarize and to clarify this. Mrs. Coulibaly, can you hear me? Yes, thank you for your question. It is indeed very important, because today rainfall is very low, the season cycles are very short, and we are trying to find seeds adapted to climate change, that is, seeds that can resist a number of stresses like pests, sun, and with enhanced nutritional qualities, high yielding as well, to avoid deforestation. You don't need to fell many trees to develop a plot. Using such seeds, you don't need a lot of acreage, and that's the way we proceed to mitigate climate change. And as you said, as you rightly said, our seeds originate from research. Such seeds can be produced by smallholders 3, 4, or even 5 times. But with some seeds are the result of crossings, and you've got to buy new seeds each year because of that. Sometimes they are the result of the combination of 3 or 4 genomes. And after 1 year, or if you keep using these seeds after more than 1 year, you're going to lose vitamins and nutritional qualities and so on. And the yields may also go down. Even for rice, Nerica rice doesn't need a lot of water. You can plant it with sorghum, maize in association with those 2 crops. And it's good to eat as well. And even for lowland rice, we also do whatever we can to reduce the water requirements. And the taste remains okay. But we need more green funds. We need more money for irrigation systems to remedy the shortage of rainfall. It can be of great help to us. And for that reason, we need those green funds, and we also need to train farmers, showing them how to recover water from rainfalls and how to use that water with the help of technicians and trainers. Thank you. Thanks a lot. I have another question to you, Ismael.
Do you plan to diversify the avocado variety that you have? There are other questions, but they are more on EU markets. So I think, it's not the topic of today, but we have many sessions on EU markets and regulations and how to meet them. Today is the regional African markets. But on the diversification of the avocado variety within the context of the regional African markets, do you have something to say, and anything else you want, of course, to add? Ismael? Perhaps there is a connection problem. If there is a connection problem, in the meantime, you can hear me, right, Axel? Oui, hein, ça vous m'entendez?
Oui, oui, on t'entend.
Yeah, okay. So I think he has a connection problem. So Khalifa, il y a une question pour vous sur la conservation de la pomme de terre.
Khalifa, I have a problem with you. I have a question for you concerning potato storage. How do you proceed? And in your packaging centers, do you use sorting equipment, packaging tables? Are you planning future investments for acquiring such equipment? And about ECOWAS in general, Mali has recently withdrawn from ECOWAS. Do you believe it might have an impact on your activity? Yes, thank you, Isolina. Indeed. Today, we are faced with many challenges. At our sorting centers and storage centers. I traveled to Brussels recently, and I seized the opportunity to negotiate with the Dutch partners on the installation of a storage structure, because our producers suffer a lot of losses for many years now. It's due to storage conditions. For correcting the situation, investments are needed, but big investments, and we need some support in that respect. I realized that to obtain investments, you must grow your crops over 100 hectares, and we are much smaller than that. Another aspect is the access to funds, access to funding. One of the specificities of English-speaking countries is business climate. We have problem in that context. Contracts are well established. We sometimes pay advances or receive advances from some customers, but it happened to me during the last season. I had a contract, well-established contract with a customer. He had accepted to make an advance, but the bank refused to support us. And these are weak points that we should correct in that part of French-speaking Africa, and also Mali. Mali, we have no control on logistics, and it is up to the customer to provide transport, among other things. We grow perishable crops. If a truck breaks down, for instance, on the way, there will be damages and there will be losses. So we always tried in the past to find arrangements with our customers. But there is no problem with Mali, whether it is part or not of ECOWAS. They are close. They need onions. It's part of their everyday diet. It is part of everyday diet throughout Africa. And in the area of Ziguinchor, we have no problem whatsoever. Okay, thank you very much. Your company may be smaller than other operators on the regional market, but small companies, small enterprises are also part of the regional market, and especially with neighboring countries.
Just had a quick question on the diversification of the avocado variety you do, because the rest is on the export markets. And I was saying, you know, we can follow up on that one because we have other sessions on export markets. Do you plan to diversify from the avocado variety you have now, and you want to add anything else based on the other presentations quickly? You are muted.
Okay. You just asked me about the diversity of our avocados, isn't it?
Yes, it's a question that from the participants, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here it is. After exporting the avocados, we just export them according to the shelf life of the product, for it to reach their safe and still fresh. So then we preserve the time for the one we sold to also be able to distribute it in that country. As in Middle East, it's hot, so there is special characteristics of the product that it has to be having for it to reach safe, as well as plan the shelf life of that product. So then, for the remaining products, as we harvest, there's some of them which I can call them as rejected avocados, or maybe rejected avocados, pineapples, tamarillo, all that products. The rejected one, we have a local market that we sell them, because like we can throw them, still they are fresh from the farm, but they don't match the characteristics for an exporting product after the inspection of those products. So the other remaining rejected, they are distributed on the local markets.
Yep.
So that's it.
Yes, thank you so much.
That's how we.
Thank you very much. It's indeed quite a common strategy. And just to finish, there is a question from one of my very active colleagues, Denis in Paris. Andrew, is there a guarantee that you request for a company before you accept to finance it, or a minimum level of investment for the agri-food industry? I know it's in the report, it's not that big compared to other financiers, but if you want to say something in relation to the type of entrepreneurs we have presented this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
And anything else, of course?
There is no minimum amount, but for a loan to qualify, or for an SME to qualify, the loan must be between $15,000 up to $1.75 million. $15,000 up to $1.75 million. And it must be in the agricultural value chain. So that would be a quick response. Thank you.
Perfect. So thank you very much. I'm sure that they will check more. So I think if they are not, Madame Coulibaly, vous avez la main levée. C'est une ancienne main ou c'est une nouvelle main?
Mrs. Coulibaly, you raised your hand. Is it? Did you do it before or? No, I have a question. I have a question for Andrew. Andrew, you are present in French-speaking Africa, West Africa. Are you present in Mali? And are they ready to invest in? Are you ready to invest in seed companies? Because we are an SME, so.
Andrew,
thank you. Thank you, madam. We are not present in West Africa yet. And just to be clear, we don't deal directly with SMEs. We support banks or lenders to increase lending to agricultural SMEs. So we don't provide capital for on-lending, but we provide the ingredients to support the lenders to do more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. So more can be indeed followed, as well as some of the partnerships you have, of course, in finance that can interest some of those countries, also in in other parts of Africa. So unless there are other pressing questions or comments, because we have just reached our time, unfortunately, we always say this is only a part of a conversation, a start. We can continue, and I think my colleagues have shared as well the Agri-Innovators website and forum. We have a specific discussion forum there as well to continue, at your request, by the way, to continue between sessions and to deal with key issues. We have, such climate resilience, packaging, labeling, etc., any of the ones. And you have the address to contact us as well if you want to present your own company, because I know there are many entrepreneurs, of course, among the audience, or if you want any other question, clarification, contact among the speakers you would like to have, etc. So without, just 2 words, because we will never finish those discussions. We know that we have many opportunities in the markets. We have put some figures in the note that you have with the program. We also know that there are major still challenges, which are even bigger, of course, for small entrepreneurs, which are the infrastructure and logistics mentioned today, from networks, storage facilities, transport services, post-harvest, facilities, storage, etc., which is really something that needs to be addressed, and hopefully the ACFTA and some of the development partners can support that. There are still a lot of non-tariff barriers, such as sanitary, phytosanitary, technical standards, custom procedures, and so on, that are key for the exporters, and the part of quality is also, and certification is a very important one. It's not only for export markets. I mean, the quality and certifications have to be for every market. So hopefully there is a part there. Of course, the access to credit and finance is critical, but importantly, strengthening the capacity of farmers and agribusinesses along the chain, from good agriculture practices to sustainable food involvement in quality markets is critical for us. So many of our at PAFO and at COLEAD, of our technical services, technical assistants, colleagues are doing only that, just supporting the entrepreneurs to be stronger and the companies to be stronger to compete. So please don't hesitate to reach us for that. And we want also, obviously, to work more and more on the climate change and its impact, which is across value chain, across countries. Well, is a global issue, but looking with more granularity on how it affects and how to mitigate, how to prevent, how to make the companies more resilient, more aware about all the climate change, also, from drought resistant, as Madame Coulibaly said, to water management techniques, sustainable land practices, etc., but also working with insurance schemes and support services. But this we also go into more detail in other sessions. So without major delay, I thank you very much. I think my co-organizer from PAFO, as I was telling you, is traveling, so actually has a bit of a connection problem now. But I think we said most of it. I thank you so much, all the panelists, for having shared their very interesting experience. We will feature all of it in our website, for taking the time to share their success. Thank you very much to a large audience, very international, from different parts of the world. Thank you very much to the interpreters. Of course, thank you very much to all the colleagues that are behind the scenes. Some you can't see them, others are here, like Axel, Alison, Arthur, if you can put your cameras on, if possible. And of course, course, we also have many from PAFO. I don't know if Sandra, if INSAF, etc. are there. There are many people involved. So thank you very much to all of you. We have also in our portal, AgriInnovators, we also have the dates and the topics of the coming sessions until end of the month, until end of the year, sorry, end of the year, all 2024 sessions. Please check, you can already register and send us any input that you want. So thank you very much again. Keep well and see you next time very soon. Bye.